Hey guys, Buckman Gaming back bringing you another video for our weapon blueprint series, and today we're going to be covering the Freedom Fighter blueprint for the AK-47 that was released in the shop the other day as part of the Arms Dealer bundle. So what we'll do is we're going to go into this bundle, we're going to take a look at the attachments, how the blueprint works, what different attachments will look like on it, and then I'll show you some multiplayer gameplay where I use this in a live game. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And first off, you can see the Arms Dealer bundle here on the background on the screen. And you see this bundle is you can purchase in store for 1,600 COD points, and what it comes with is the Arms Dealer operator skin for Azure. It also comes with the main item that we're covering in today's video is the Freedom Fighter blueprint for the AK-47, the Gun Run charm, which is just a gold AK-47 charm for your weapon, the Try and Fail sticker, Say Hello calling card, which I actually do like this calling card. I think it's pretty cool. And you also get the So Glad operator equip, the clubbed finishing move for Azure, as well as one tier skip for 1,600 COD points. So not a bad deal. The main item here we're covering is the AK-47 blueprint called the Freedom Fighter. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And right now you can see the weapon on my screen. This is the blueprint itself, the Freedom Fighter for the AK-47. And what it comes with is the 8.1 compact barrel, tac laser, Viper reflex sight, and the 5.45 by 39mm ammunition for this weapon. So here you can see it in my armory as the Freedom Fighter. And you can see it compared, if we compare it to the Revolution, you can see the differences obviously with a short barrel versus standard AK-74 barrel on the Revolution, or the AKM barrel on the with the handguard there on the Revolution. So the Freedom Fighter, you can see the differences just with my different AK builds here as we go around. And you can see this is the AKS-74 build that I have done myself. So you can see the main differences are the old rustic wood handguard and pistol grip versus the newer finished AKM-like handguard pistol grip, as well as the buttstock for this weapon. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I'll go to my creative class where I have this particular build, and we'll take a look at it. And here you can see again, the only addition I made to this particular blueprint is I just added a stipple pistol grip, or excuse me, a rubberized pistol grip to the grip itself, so we'll go over that. But if I were to change the barrel, you can see if I went to revert it back to a standard AK-47 barrel, it changes back to that old rustic wood that we see on the AK-47. So I'm a little disappointed that it doesn't retain that newer AKM wood finish, but unfortunately it reverts back. And then any other barrel is going to do the same thing. The RPK barrels and the remaining barrel also have that old wood finish to it. So we'll go ahead and select that 8.1 compact barrel. So what this is going to do is pros are the ADS speed as well as the movement speed, and the cons being bullet velocity as well as recoil control. So go ahead and select that. Next you get a tac laser. So that's that green tac laser that is visible to enemies only when you're aiming down sights. So the pros with this one, though, are the ADS speed, aiming stability, as well as the aim walking steadiness, which definitely helps. I think if you're smart about this and only ADS when you're going to get into combat and you're not pre-aiming heavily around corners to give away your position, I think this works out pretty well. Next up, we have the Viper reflex sight. Standard optic here for the pros. You get the precision sight picture, with the con being a slight bump to your ADS speed. So this Viper reflex sight is just a Russian red dot essentially. There's also the monocle reflex that you could use there as well, or the APX-5 hollow if you wanted to. But the Viper itself, I think, works pretty well for this particular weapon, and I think we've seen this on a lot of Russian weapons, particularly the AKS-74Us and the AKS-74s in a lot of other video games as well. Now the stock, you can see here again, like I said, we have that AKM AK-74 newer wood finish to this rifle. So if I were to change that stock to any other rifle, the same with what we did with the handguard with the barrel, it's going to retain that olden wood look like we have for the field LMG. Everything else, luckily there's no wood stock there, so you could do a skeleton stock if you wanted a true AKS-74U with the folding stock there. But for this particular blueprint, we're going to keep it as is with the standard stock. And then the perk, there's no perk on this weapon. Rubberized grip tape. So what this does is controls recoil control, with the con being aim stability. So the recoil control, since we do have the 5.45 ammunition, it's not really as bad as it is with the 7.62mm rounds. So you could also opt out for the stipple pistol grip, and this one will help your ADS speed and your sprint to fire speed if you're really trying to do more run and gun with this. Also, the granulated grip tape, aim stability, aim, walking steadiness, not really necessary for this build because we have the 5.45 ammo. There's not really heavy recoil on this weapon. Too bad. So I like the rubberized grip tape. Just helps me keep my shots on target because every shot counts with the 5.45 ammo. So again, we'll get into that. The difference here, obviously, with the blueprint is that we have the blue tape on this. So not really significant. It's not shooting blue tracers or anything like that. If we were to take that off, you're going to revert back to the same old rustic AK-47 mag. And at every other mag, the 40-round mag looks fine. You see the main difference here. We have blue tape on the 5.45 rounds. So we'll go ahead and select that. This is going to increase our fire rate as well as our aim and recoil control. The con being the damage and the range for this particular loadout. Now the underbarrel, some interesting things here. Like a bipod or a grenade launcher is just added right on to the handguard itself. And that looks fine. But if you do any sort of undergrip, it basically adds this plastic type bottom to the handguard. And it retains the upper piece. But if you look at that, you have like a white or a very light gray bottom to the handguard with a Picatinny rail on the bottom there. So that's a pretty interesting look to it. And if I were to keep this, let's just swap it for a tack laser right now and take a look at the camouflage. It does not, the camo doesn't change that part of the handguard as it wouldn't with the typical weapon. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that. We don't really need a handguard on this. I think it handles fine. Since we have the 5.45 ammo, you don't really need it. And you'll see the gameplay I'll be playing here in the background is I believe we're playing Kill Confirmed on Gunrunner, I believe. And I started out with a pretty bad game, but once I was able to switch things up and control my recoil a little bit better and just get my shots on target, I had a pretty good game. So you'll be seeing that in the background. But first, before we jump into that, I want to just cover one thing. If I deselect my Viper, you will see the one problem here is that this is a milled receiver for the AK-47, not the AK-74s or the AKMs that we see. So they do have the wrong receiver on this. So this is a milled receiver versus stamped. It should be a stamped receiver, and the dust cover on the top should be ribbed. So I'll link the video to my AK-47 video for all the builds down below so you can cover that. Basically, starting with the AKM, the Russians started doing stamped receivers. So it looks a little different. I can jump into that and show you. And the dust cover has ribs on it. So if I quickly, I'll just show you what that looks like if we jump back to the Armory, and I'll go ahead and look at something like the Revolution here. So you'll be able to see the difference in the receiver is different. You'll see that with my AK-12 and 15 builds as well for that steel curtain blueprint. So you see the receiver is completely different, and the dust cover is ribbed as well. So we saw that with the AKM moving forward through the AK-74s as well. So just something they didn't include with this. I'm not sure why, but that's really it. As I said, I only added the rubberized grip tape to this one. Other than that, I think it handles very well. So you'll see in the gameplay in the background here is that this particular weapon, I'm playing in realism, so headshots do definitely count. And this is basically a one-shot headshot kill no matter what weapon you're using. So with this particular weapon, the 5.45 ammo is pretty underpowered. The benefit is you don't have to compensate for the recoil too much because it has much lower recoil than the 7.62 rounds. So you can get your shots on target easier, but the damage seems to be a lot weaker. So there was a lot of instances, particularly when I was playing with this weapon on night mode, where you will put what seems like too many rounds into somebody and they're not quite dropping yet. So that's my main problem with this particular weapon. I'd really like to see the 5.5 rounds either have a fire rate increase or maybe a slight damage buff. It just seems like if you're comparing it to something like any other assault rifle in the game that's firing the 5.56s, the damage just isn't there compared to like something like an M4 with a high rate of fire. It even feels like you're doing less damage than maybe even an M13 for some reason. So I found that very troubling in the beginning of this particular game that I'm showing, and then I was able to pick things up and play a little bit better and aim for the head a little bit more, and things worked out pretty well. So I think it is overall a really good blueprint. I like the look of it. I was hoping we would get, by swapping out the barrel to just a standard barrel, that we retain that same new AKM, AK-74 wooden handguard, but unfortunately that's not the case. And then obviously, as I said, the other problem is that we have a milled receiver, and instead of a stamped, and we don't have a ribbed dust cover. So some minor issues with continuity versus the IRL versions of the weapons, but no, nothing really huge there. I think overall it looks good. Really what you're getting here is the new wood finish on the handguard, buttstock, and the pistol grip, as well as the change to the 5.5 rounds magazine, retaining that a blue piece of tape around that. And that's really the only differences with the weapon. I would say if you have a basic AK-47, you can make this. This isn't a blueprint that's gonna really overhaul the look of your weapon. All it's doing is giving you a new wood finish. That's really about it. And then I would say any additions you can make to this is you could add a skeleton stock for better movement speed, ADS speed, and that would definitely help you move around the map quicker. And you could add a stipple pistol grip versus the rubberized, which I have, just to also further assist with your movement speed and your ADS speed. But overall, I think it's a really good build. I like it. I have a really good round of gameplay here on Realism. I think we were actually playing Domination, so it's Domination on Gunrunner. I ended up getting a chopper gunner here, so I had a pretty beast game after my slow start. But overall, really good build. So let me know what you guys think of this particular blueprint down below. Again, this is 1,600 COD points for this bundle, and really, all you're getting is the Freedom Fighter and the tier skip. Everything else I don't really have a use for. I don't really use Azure as an operator, but I think any AK-47 I'm pretty much going to get if it is worth it to me. I'm definitely an AK buff versus a M4 buff. Those are my two main weapons that I like IRL, so the AKs are something I'm definitely going to be getting. I'm hoping they come out with something like an Alpha AK or something like that along those lines, with a big overhaul to what the blueprint looks like itself. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what further blueprints you're expecting in the game, and I'll go ahead and leave it off there. I'll leave you guys with the gameplay in the background, and until next time, Buffner Gaming.
Losing C.
Right on target.
We've lost C.
Enemy at the towers.
Charlie. We're on Alpha. Stand by. Charlie secure. Assist your team at B.
Enemy at the smokestack.
Hostiles at Bravo. Assist your team at C. Taking Bravo. Enemy holds all objectives.
Enemy is afraid of
Securing A. Alpha secure.
Reload!
Securing C. Enemy personal radar in the air. Got a VTOL on station.
Enemy
Ready
at
to
the
deploy. Got Charlie. Got chopper on station. Assist your team at C. Hostiles at Alpha, go!
Outlaw 1-1 arriving on station.
Securing B. He's back up the zone.
Enemy missile locked.
Hold all the objectives.
Nice work. Keep stacking them up.
Assist the team at Alpha.
Yeah, you got him.
Friendly UAV overhead. Need backup at Bravo. Assist your team at Alpha.
Target 3-1 arriving on station, ready for attack.
We've lost Bravo.
Dude, I had two guys there, and I just...
We're taking Alpha. Securing A. Assist your team at C.
really need one.
Striker, we're taking fire.
Hostiles coming out.
There's only 4 of us, watch out.